Due to the nature of this content, listener discretion is advised and is not appropriate for those under 18 years of age. You're listening to episode 32 of To Hump a Pillow with sex and relationship coach and Un-Educator, Mellon. At the crossroads of storytelling and education, this is the sex ed curriculum you never had, and the one I always wanted. Sex is something most of us participate in, yet so many find it difficult to talk about. Mellon is enhancing the language and conversation around sex to give couples and partners the courage to speak up, ask questions, and discover pleasure. You're listening to the podcast To Hump a Pillow, and I'm your host, Mellon. I'm a sex and relationship coach trained using the Somatica method. If you're interested in working one-on-one with someone like me, fill out the application on the website, ellenmellon.com/intimacy-coaching. Click the link in the show description to go there faster. I'm thrilled you're here because there's a ton of stuff to discover about ourselves, and if you're listening to this, that means you're open to new perspectives. Shall we dig in? God, I'm excited to talk to you.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I'm honored, and I'm really thrilled and excited.
Thank you. As am I. I just listened to a couple of your things before letting you into the Zoom here. Yeah. And
setting up the space.
Yeah. Well, just, sitting with it. I just, that mindfuck song is just, it's so technical and like the movie Inception, like layers of meaning within layers of meaning. And so I'm just like, I'm having a brain-gasm, It's great. Well, it's very thoughtful. So
that makes me extremely happy because I never really got any response, any like real actual feedback, from this piece. Matter of fact, you know why? Because, well, it is on my YouTube page, but it is going to be in my upcoming book. So I haven't really blasted it formally out there, even though it's on my page. And I did perform it actually. Now that I think about it, I did perform it one time at an open mic. And the feedback I got was more like people were just laughing. And I was like, that's fine, I guess. I was not expecting, a laughter from it, even though, I can understand. I can get why.
Yeah. Well, the people laugh when they're uncomfortable, right? That's
it is.
That's the response.
That's clear. Yeah.
But also like there are parts where, like when I'm listening to rap where I'm like, this is so fucking high quality, like lyrical magician shit, where you just like can't help but smile and giggle because you're like, this is so novel. So that's So this is a compliment. I'm giving you a compliment.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite pieces, and
good.
It kind of embodies who I am and what I want to do to my audience for sure.
Wow. Okay. So
I want to fuck their mind.
Yeah. It feels that way, and we'll get in. I want to know. I'm going to set us up first, cool. And then we'll talk. I'm just going to start by saying, how do you want to be called? Are you Colleek Slim? Are you Pablo Zambrano? Or are you Sir Change?
Right. There's a lot. Pa Jr. Colleek Slim is definitely a new one though. But I would like to be, Khaliq Sim is my pseudonym. Yeah. Just to give you a little bit of background on that. So my actual government name is Pablo Zambrano.
Yeah.
And my pseudonym is Khaliq Sim. So I chose that right before I published my first book, Journey Through Perception. And I decided, I was inspired by Mark Twain. I'm a big Mark Twain fan. And, he writes under his name, Mark Twain. So I was like, hey, why not, take like a artistic path and write under a name, almost like rappers do, right? So instead of being like little Pablo or something like that,
Yeah, little P.
Right, little P, or Pastor P, like they used to call me in my elementary days.
That's your
we won't go there. Not this show.
Okay.
But Yeah, so Khaliq in Arabic, Khaliq is Arabic. It means creative, and Sim is Irish, or at least the version that I chose is Irish. It means listener. So together it means creative listener, and I wanted to embody that as the person, as this person, this version of me that writes. I wanted to be this creative listener, and yeah, that's what happened. It was kind of like the higher self thing. It makes a lot of sense. Years later, now that I think about it, like, man, that was good work, man. I couldn't have
Yeah.
chosen a better name.
I feel that on a visceral level. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long when did you develop it? And how did it come to you?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. So I published the book in 2018. I want to say it was like 2017 when Colleek Sim was born. And it happened. I was driving. Uh, I was driving during work or something like that on the highway in New York, and I was like behind a Mack truck or something like that, or some sort of truck, and there was like a name or something behind it. And this was during the time where I was still putting together, or maybe I had the manuscript together, but I was putting together the manuscript, putting things together for the book, and I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to uh, deliver it, like whether it was going to be under my name or whatnot. And I saw something behind the truck. I can't remember the story, but I saw something and it triggered something in me, like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should go for a name. And then I went home and I started just messing around with things. I think I went into like Google Translator or something, or looked up certain
Oh
names,
yeah.
and I must have put like creative, and I was just messing around with different concepts, and that came about, and I was like, cool, I like that, creative listener.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with it.
And why the hybrid of Arabic and Irish?
Well, is really, that's really I guess you could say spontaneous. Like, it wasn't really, like, I wasn't really looking for that necessarily. I think I can't remember exactly how that happened, but Arabic kind of that I guess that hits home a little closer, because of the neighborhood that I was living in. I was around a lot of like Middle Eastern folk, and I have
Where?
some of my best friends in the Bronx.
Okay.
I was born in Brooklyn, but raised in the Bronx.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so that kind of makes sense, like the Arabic thing. So it made sense that I chose that. The Irish thing, I don't know, that just so happened. So
Interesting. I want to,
yeah.
there's going to be some development with this Irish business. So you just wait. I think you're calling something in. And
Oh
so,
shoot. Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. It'll
So
happen here for sure.
it's not Slim, it's Sim.
It's
Yeah.
Sim.
Yeah. I'm typo. I'm going to correct myself here. Okay. So welcome Colleek Sim to the show.
Thank you.
And I was just looking at your profile and it says that you are an author, provocateur, agorist?
Yeah, Agorist, you could say, yeah.
Is it agorist? And
Yeah,
freethinker. Tell us a little
yeah.
bit about what that means.
Sweet. So yeah, I'm a provocative. I'm very, very provocative. Very controversial. A lot of my work, I like to poke. I like to, provoke people, and that's just the whole embodiment of who I am. That's why Mindfuck is written the way it is, because I just like to,
Yeah.
I like to press dials and stuff. So yeah, provocative, non-traditional. I'm a very much non-traditional type of person, and I'm still very much exploring that. What that means. Growing up very somewhat traditional, very religious in a sense. I went to Christian school. We were all like, my sisters went to Bible college. I was supposed to go to Bible college, so I was very much sheltered within that area. So, once I kind of broke out of that, I started embodying this identity of just being somewhat non-traditional, and just going through whatever that seems, and all that navigation, and through that made me very much free thinker. I don't like to put too many handles on myself. Like, primarily, I like to start off with saying I'm a free thinker. I've mutated many times through the years. So free thinker definitely embodies me. And then agorist is very much, I'm a counter economic proponent. I like to, yeah, there's a quote. I can't remember the quote, but the quote really helps me remember what that's all about. It says something like, if you want to change, and I think Sal Mayweather's the one that I heard coin it. If you want to change, yeah, it was it. If you want to change the government, I gotta hold on.
Do you want to look it up? I will.
I might have to. Yeah, give me. Where would I find it? Oh, I wrote it in a blog.
Okay. Otherwise, I can Google. I'll see. We'll see who can do it. Sal Mayweather quotes, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can find it that way, but hopefully it won't take too long. Yeah, just bear with us. Because I definitely want to get it right and get it justice. And I don't necessarily have to use that quote, but it just kind of embodies it for me.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, agorism is just counter economics, kind of black markets, gray markets, things of that nature. And I'm very much like an open source advocate and counter economic advocate. So that's just right up my alley.
Yeah.
I'm kind of drawing a blank on where the heck I could find it, but
okay. Well, if it comes, try to capture the breadth of it. If you maybe close your eyes and.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Go there, find it. Sometimes you got to close the eyes. I'm just going to butt in here because he was unable to recall the quote at the time. And this is me adding this on the back end of the recording. So he did find the quote, and this is what it is. And I find it important to share it with you. It's very good. Sal Mayweather said, "If you want to change a government, use violence. But if you seek to eradicate it, use counterculture economics." There we go. Okay. So yeah, agorism.
Yeah,
agorism is a social philosophy that advocates creating a society in which all relations between people are voluntary exchanges by means of counter economics engaging with aspects of nonviolent revolution. This is a new word for me, so thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I put it on my handle, to be honest with you, because I just wanted it to be pushed out there.
Yeah.
It's I guess you could say it's on top of, like, I wouldn't say anarchy, but like libertarianism, if you may. It's really like, if you see agorists every day, somebody that's selling food in a truck, in a food truck or whatever, and taking like hard cash is an agorist. Farmers markets, that's all agorist people. Martin Luther King, agorist. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyone that was doing counter economic stuff, Gandhi, agorist. Anyone that was trying to like challenge
popular
government.
Belief. Yeah. Is it challenge popular belief, or is it just challenge government and economy?
Yeah, exactly. Challenge government and economy. If you into blockchain, you're an agorist. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like, by default, if you're into like cryptocurrencies, you're an agorist.
Gotcha.
Skill sharing is agorism. So yeah, that's kind of what that is. But free thinker, I'm a free thinking agorist. If you want to encapsulate.
Thank you. I feel that about you. I want to know, well, I guess first of all, some backstory. Khaliq Sim and I met at a ayahuasca retreat. Is that okay that we are divulging that information, or is that private?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as we began talking, well, there was this massage chair situation that we were lining up for. There's one massage chair and like 100 people, right? Like at this retreat.
Yeah. It was about 99, if we're going to be accurate.
And it was like the day after daytime ceremony, and everybody is like the living, walking dead and just needs a massage like you wouldn't believe it. And so
that thing was dead. Nobody was there until that day.
100%.
It was like everybody was there.
It was supply and demand. And so I was like, I needed it so bad. And there was this line situation, and we kind of just like poked fun at the whole situation. And then we caught up later by the showers, where we started just talking about sex and relationships and intimacy and shame. And
Yeah.
And you we and that was it. That it just there was some click, and then we started talking. And I want to know, before we dig into my questions, what do you do? Like what like it sounds like you are an author, and you are a musician, and you're a writer, and all the other things that you said. Is this what your full-time gig, or do you do other things too to make money?
Yeah, I'm in a completely different like paradigm for myself. So like I quit my job that I was at for 8 years about a year ago, something like that.
That was in
And
New York, right?
yeah, that was in New York, and then
Yeah.
I moved out to Florida, and I've been doing apprenticeship in this self development like think tank community called Autonomy. So I've been messing around with that, the apprenticeship there, and I've been picking up skills in video editing. And so I've been doing video editing like pretty amateurly, and still somewhat of that caliber um, for a long time. And then once I stepped into that community, and I was able to do this apprenticeship, I did like copywriting, but uh, video editing definitely was more suitable for me as an artist. I was like, hey, this is a technique that I should definitely have more understanding and build more better grammar in it. So yeah, I do like video editing, but for the most part right now, like I'm a content creator, I'm an artist,
Hmm.
you know, and I can't really put myself in any one chamber right now because I have no idea where I'm gonna turn.
Yeah.
It could be many. It could be
No.
like I gotta eat. So like wherever the food is, wherever the least path of least resistance is, obviously aligning with my passion and my values. That's where I'm gonna turn. I mean,
Hmm.
so far recently, it's been like uh, video editing, like affiliate marketing stuff. But I'm really trying to promote my business and myself, so to speak, as an artist and things of that nature. Are you getting
Yeah.
that Discord thing? Is that me? I think that's
I
me. I
think
might
that's
have to.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, let
That's
me
you.
take that out so it's not.
No
Yeah,
problem.
you shouldn't hear that anymore.
Thank you for saying that. Um, Something along the lines of just like being, all these things, and not just like having to put yourself in boxes. I think that, we really get carried away. I'm reminded of like one of the first things that people ask in America to other people is like, what do you do for work?
Yeah,
Right?
very
Because
true.
we value you, we value the person you are only on the career that you have.
True.
And so for you to be like, I'm just doing all these things and I'm not going to be confined and we'll see where it goes, is big. And you reminded me that I think the reason that I was like, yes, this man was that story you told me about how you lived in New York and how you were like, fuck this, I'm getting out of
Yeah.
here.
Oh
Can you
yeah.
just tell that story a little bit? Because people in big cities must be feeling it.
Oh man, yeah, it's so true. And I empathize, and I hear it a lot nowadays. So yeah, that's. I mean, it's definitely something I want. It's definitely something that I have as a means of connection. So I could connect with even more people now because of that story. And that's what I love about just the experiences and expanding my horizon and experiences. Like I get to connect with more and more people, the more, layers and dimensions I add to myself. So yeah, I'm born and raised in New York. It was great. It was fun. I have a family, 2 kids, and after I guess after I got married and whatnot, I started just getting really tired of the whole city situation, and also my job. I mean, my job is really was the brunt of it. I'm very much grateful for the opportunity that I had in that. However, I was super depressed. I think living in big cities is a social experiment. We're not supposed to be living on top of each other the way we do. And I've seen
Why?
some really,
Why do you
um,
think that?
because I've seen some really I've seen the way human beings act in that type of climate. I mean, I remember one of the stories that sticks out to me the most. I remember one time I was in a train delay, and the train conductor had announced that someone jumped in front of the train tracks, and it was causing this massive train delay, and everybody was so pissed. What the hell? Why would that person do that? And I'm just like, that was one of the moments where I was like, yeah, this is way too fast paced. Like people can't even like empathize with someone that was having like a mental breakdown and were upset um that the train wasn't moving at their pace, you know.
Do
And that was one of the breakthrough moments for me where I was like, yeah, this is just toxic. And then when the pandemic came, it was a no-brainer to me. I mean, listen, the police cars were going around with the, loudspeaker, just amplifying sound, amplifying messages of social distancing and things of that nature. And I was like, yeah, this is straight up mind control programming. I'm not gonna have my kids in here. And not to say that it's definitely better where I'm at in Florida.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's still, there's still things going on, but I'm not in the belly of the beast, so to speak. So, yeah, that's kind of my testimony with getting out of the big city. It's
God.
cool. It's cool for art. Like, I mean, some of the greatest art comes from these cities, and it really makes you think about pressure and about struggle and
Mm,
how like that is really kind of the prerequisite for art. I wouldn't be the artist that I am today if it wasn't from New York City. So I mean, I
yeah.
appreciate it, but then I also understand that when it was time, uh, I had to, get out of that situation.
God, I feel you on a fucking deep
Right?
level with that
Yeah,
story
right.
about the person.
It's crazy, man.
Same behavior that was exhibited with toilet paper.
Hmm.
Just this like mass fear and scarcity mindset and hoarding and like people beating each other up in the parking lots. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my God, me first, me only.
yeah,
What the fuck, world? Yeah.
yeah. I'm telling you that I mean, I think my navigator had he does this show called Grand Theft World, and he he had mentioned this like experiment that was done on lab rats and how they're put into like, somewhat of a, like a city type scenario where they're all on top of each other. They pretty much have everything they need very conveniently. They could get from A to B very easily, and they basically went extinct in that experiment. I can't remember what the name of the experiment was, but it was mind opening. Like,
Wow.
wow, this is kind of like, it almost makes you think like they designed these cities, you know, for certain outcomes. It's an input, it's an output,
Interesting.
and it makes you really think on how like this is not how society was supposed to be. The way it is, it's designed. It's designed for self destruction, and
God.
yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, I and it feels very tangible. It feels like, yep, that could definitely be true. That could definitely be true.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I when I was my last boyfriend, we were talking about just like what could happen after COVID, and like just where we're heading as a society. And we spitballed the idea of like going back to tribes, like tiny communities,
Mm, yeah,
and
totally.
just yeah, like, and I'm like, that actually feels really good to pick when I picture that feels really good. The
Yeah.
sort of collective situation, like, okay, Ellen's really good at healing, and Sarah's really good at making chili, and this
Hmm.
person's really good with like woodworking.
Yeah. Yo, Khaliq, share a poem for us,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
We'll
Please
sit
gather,
by the fire.
please, please, please
Yeah,
come give us your mind fuck. Yeah.
that's that's agorism, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Coming together in like local communities and exchanging, in a voluntary way.
Yeah.
That's the prime example,
Yeah.
of agorism to bring it back full circle.
Yeah. And it's so funny, how when you say full circle, it's the more you're on the planet, I think you come to the terms that like, oh my God, we've all been here before. All of this has happened before in some capacity. Just the
Hmm.
the amount of time between now and that historical moment, there's been a long amount of time, and so that's why we're repeating the same mistake again.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
just doing it a little more. It's the same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah. That's how the ayahuasca trip felt, in like a 3 day experiment. It was like, holy shoot. I've been here before. This is an
Yeah.
interesting interesting deja vu flashback, you know.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
fantastic. It was a very profound experience.
Yeah.
Really,
How are you doing? We're a couple, what, 2 weeks out of it? Yeah.
yeah, just about. I kind of broke the diet, so I didn't get a lot of like the extension of it. But I had like the week after was really great because I was able to like it's interesting after I got back and whatnot, like I kind of jumped right back into work mode.
Oh, you
And
did. Oh, you
yeah,
did.
and I broke that very quickly because I was kind of going back into old like kind of old patterns, and I
Mhm.
saw that really quick, which I appreciate, like my higher self or whatever it is. I was able to see that, and I broke out of that real quick, and I started creating. And I had wrote this. That's where I wrote the poem Soul Quest. I don't know if I shared it with you,
Mm-mm.
but I wrote a poem called Soul Quest based off of that experience. And then after that, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just jump into doing producing some content about my experience, my ayahuasca experience. So like the week after, I was able to get really creative and hone in all of that energy and um, really sit with the music. The music was so powerful to me. Like I was like,
Jesus.
after I left, I was like, where are the playlists? I need the playlist now. And the music brings
Unbelievable.
me back home. It really does. So yeah, it's been mostly creative energy and like reflect. So like after I sat with all of that energy, I was able to pump kind of like the emotions and everything into that. So that's kind of like my experience with that. But I know you were battling with, just the experience and the integration and things like that, right?
Yes, I was. I
Yeah.
here was here this is the dialogue in my head before ayahuasca.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go on this retreat. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna get what I need from Mother Ayahuasca, and I'm gonna come back refreshed, healed, and ready to like launch my one-on-one coaching program.
Hmm.
That did not happen. Not one
Hmm.
bit.
Right.
Instead, I was ridden with like, oh, you haven't grieved this thing. And
Hmm.
you've been just trying to cover it up with other things. And so the week after, I luckily booked myself an Airbnb on St. Petersburg Beach,
Oh
and
wow.
I cried and I walked the beach and I journaled. I tried to run. Sometimes it was easy, sometimes it was hard. Um, and I just like literally the only way that I can put language around this is I sat with myself and I just was.
Hmm.
And
Hey,
that's
what's interesting?
go ahead.
Like that was one of the things that stuck out to me. Like, in terms of like, us encountering each other. Like I watched you and I saw how gentle you were with yourself, you know, and then hearing your experience and how like you came back and it was somewhat, very deep for you. You went back and you took care of yourself again. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was like I remember watching you like get in the chair, and I think
Yeah.
I even told you, I was like, you know look at yourself, like you're really taking care of yourself,
Yeah. I really
and then you did it again. You booked the Airbnb,
mm-hmm.
and you did what you needed. You took care of yourself, that's one of the lessons I learned from the experience, that Pablo, Khaliq, you got to take care of yourself, man. And I was
Yeah.
able to watch myself do that, and that was very therapeutic to go through
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yes. We need to ask for help. We need to advocate for what we want, what we
Hmm.
need.
Yeah,
It's on us.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Powerful stuff. We could
Yeah.
easily spend the whole hour talking about this. And so I'm going to
Oh
cut
yeah,
us
big
off
time.
and I'm going to change the subject dramatically. Talk to me, please, about your sexual upbringing. I want to know how sex was discussed in the home, at school, and weird shit you did among peers if that was a thing.
Oh shit. All right, buckle up.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm buckled.
Um, so, let's see. Well, I'm half Ecuadorian, so there might be a stereotype in here somehow, like, South American men, very much womanizers. My father was that guy. I remember being in the car with my pops, and this is just this will tell a lot about
Mhm.
me. You know, I remember being a kid driving with my pops, and my pops would just like hound, like I'm talking about honk the horn, just freaking bark at women all day. Like I'm in the car with him, and he's like, "Mama, see that?" Just going crazy. You know what I mean? Like I remember my pops like that.
I'm
My father
smiling.
also.
I'm smiling because it's funny, but I am mad. I am mad
Yeah.
also. Yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
that's what I, grew up somewhat watching,
Hmm.
And also my father, he gave me my first graphic novel, magazine, I guess not novel, magazine. He gave me my first like pornographic magazine when I was like what 10 years old. Maybe, yeah, something around that, between like 8 and 10. I remember he gave it to me and he was like, "Don't tell your mom I gave you this."
Yeah,
And I dealt with pornography addiction for a long time.
you did. You did.
Very long time.
Hang on,
Yeah, big time.
pause. I want to know about specifics when your dad gave you this porn magazine. What was the conversation with the handoff, if
It
anything?
wasn't there wasn't much. It was literally, well, and it also could be like I don't remember all the details, but from what I remember, from what I could recollect, it was just like, here, dude, don't let your mom know I gave you this. And
And
that's all. And so here's another conversation. I remember one time I told my pops like I like this girl. It's gonna be a little explicit.
yeah,
And I
please.
remember I told him it was like the first like official girl that I said like I liked or whatever. And his first words, rest in peace, by the way. His first words were, "Did you fuck her?" And I was like 13 or whatever. And I'm like, Dad, what the? So
Did you laugh it off like that, or were
I
you
did.
like okay, or were you like
Well,
should I, or I would have like, I might have been in a place of like, oh my God, I haven't, or I'm not enough, or who knows what we think. But
I think it was a mixed bag, but for the most part, I kind of like shrugged it off, like who says that, dude? Like we don't
okay.
even talk like that, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so,
Yeah.
it was really strange for me for him to say that. It hit me sideways. I don't know why I didn't expect it to come from him because that's just who, that's his nature. So like yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like so that experience just with what I just said right there says a lot, gives you a lot of insight about like who I am and some of the things that I battle with as a male. And so yeah, I grew up in a very, interestingly enough, like my parents didn't force me to go to church. I was very much volunteered myself to do that. I was like called. I felt like I was called to be a pastor type situation. So I was like, the kids used to call me in school the 40-year-old virgin. I was like in elementary school, they're calling me the 40-year-old virgin. Imagine that. So in my
Kind of,
school scenario, it was pretty raunchy in my school. So like the kids were
wow.
already doing it, you know what I mean? Like they already hit that. So
Really?
yeah, it was
How,
pretty
how
crazy.
old were you?
So I got that in elementary school. So we're talking about,
Fifth grade, fourth grade?
well, no, not fifth. So I'm talking about like I want to say that's seventh, eighth grade.
Okay.
So I was probably like, 12, 13. They were calling me 40-year-old virgin because I walked into school with my whole, it was like, well, not every day, but I had my like church get up and whatnot. So they used to kind of tease me about that because I was openly saying like I'm never gonna do this, but I was still that kid that was going around like, trying to get girls' numbers. But I had this like, wall where I was like, I'm not gonna do that,
So
but I'm gonna.
would you say that it was a front then? Or like, did you really believe that you were never going to have sex? Like you were going to wait? Like, did God scare you a little bit? Or, because you're talking about like you were
Yeah,
pursuing girls. So there was some sort of
yeah,
lust or interest there, but also you were
yeah.
like, oh my God, and waiting to have sex and never doing it. Like what was that like to rumble with those two things?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think part of it was like that conviction, and then another part of it was like there was a part of me that I just couldn't control, I could not control that part of myself. So like I kind of negotiated with myself where I was like, okay, here is my line. My line is I'm not going to do anything, that is sexual or anything like that. Like even kissing. My wife was the first woman I kissed, and I was like, what, 19 maybe?
Wow.
When I kissed her the first time we did that exchange, and she thought I was lying. For years she was like, "Bro, you lying?" And I'm like,
She's like, I,
"Nah."
I know your dad.
I was like, "You need me to call somebody?" Like my nickname was 40-year-old virgin for a reason. Like,
Oh,
I didn't do that.
I love
Um,
that. I love that
so
so
it
much.
was, so it was like, it was, yeah. I come from a very like religious, traditional, like conservative background from that sense. So sex was very taboo, very taboo. I didn't know, I had no outlets. My parents didn't talk to me about, all the things that you should, talk about. We didn't have no sex ed class in school and stuff like that either.
No.
So nah, we didn't. At least no, we didn't have that. I
Yeah.
don't
If you
remember having that.
really,
For sure. Yeah, we did not have it. I
and it
don't.
was
I don't recall.
it was a religious school or was it a public
Oh,
school?
so
Okay.
this was public. I didn't go into. So in high school, I did what, 2 years, Christian school, and then
And
I
those
dropped out.
oh, what when were
So
those? What years?
so
Like
that
what
was 9, 10,
of
ninth and 10th.
of
Yeah, of high school. No, I'm sorry. It was 10 and 11. I dropped out. What was that? Junior year? No, sophomore year. I dropped out of high school.
yeah.
So yeah. So my high school. So I spent 2 years of my high school years in Christian school, and yeah, before that was all like public school um, experience. So
What was that like to enter religious school from public school?
um,
Was it good? It feels like it might have been really comforting for you.
yeah, I mean, at the time, it's what I
Yeah.
wanted. I
Yeah.
basically paid for my own tuition. I was like on a scholarship program, so to speak. But I was like partially paying for my tuition. So I wanted that. That's what I wanted. And I was telling all my friends, like, yo, like I remember it was like ninth grade and I didn't care. Like I was just like coasting through school because I was like, I'm out of here, guys. I could care less. Like I don't care about any reports or whatever because I'm about to go to Christian school. So I was like wild in ninth grade. I remember.
That
I
is
remember one of my
so
teachers was like, "You're a Christian? Like, what are like you over here like cutting people's ass and like saying like wild stuff?" And I was just like,
yeah, I'm Christian. I can be both. I can be both.
right, right,
Yeah, good for
yeah.
you. Okay. So, I guess I mean, how was sex talked about among peers at this age when everybody's having sex around you?
Hmm.
Did you feel pressure at any point? I felt immense pressure in high school to have sex and like get men's attention.
Hmm.
Fucking hella pressure.
Yeah. And that might be like a gender gap as well because like I didn't necessarily feel the pressure, possibly because I was like, well, I can't even say like because I was a male or because I'm a male. Was a male because I'm a male.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, everybody knew. Like I wore my identity on my sleeves, so everybody knew what it was. Like I didn't really get much pressure like that. I got more like teased. People teased me all the time.
Yeah.
It was like I remember one time this girl, like she just wanted to kiss me because like she was like, yo, you just never like you never done it. Like, come on, let me just like, let me just do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
I got teased like that. Um, but yeah, for the most part, like it was just that honestly, it was like it was very, very much common culture, you know. Like people were doing it. It was like being done in school, in the hall, in the stairways type situation. Um, and it was very much around me. And I know a part of me like felt like, man, I want to be, I want to do that
Yeah.
too. you know, but I
Yeah.
had the strong convictions. So I somewhat suppressed myself. Like I definitely suppressed especially because I was heavily into pornography in those days as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like
So you were getting some sort of need met on like
exactly,
unbeknownst. Okay. Okay.
exactly.
This is the part of the story that I'm really excited to hear about. Um, I think that porn addictions are very real and it's very hard to talk about them. There's a lot of shame around it. And so I'm wondering if you want to share a little bit about your journey with porn and
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
are you sure?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And you know, I'm very much open about it. I think I spoke. Yeah, I think I wrote about it in my first book, and I have like a journal entry for my upcoming book where I talk about it. And honestly, that's the reason I was able to conquer it, because I decided to be outspoken about it. And because I was outspoken about it, now I put it out there, and like now it's like I can't necessarily hide. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's the you know, Pandora's box is open.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I kept myself in check.
Secrets keep you sick. And once we start letting them
Hmm.
out, we really we really set ourselves free, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
worked for me.
Yeah.
It worked for
Okay.
me, and I was trying to get over it. You know, I was trying to get off of it for many years. I felt so like, oh man, and there's that like that, you know, that ebb and flow of like constant um guilt, you know, going through, oh man, I went through so much guilt for
Yeah.
years because I didn't know how to conquer it, you know. And also like, yeah, I just didn't know how to conquer it, and I didn't have anyone like, I didn't have anyone in my team or in my camp to like talk these things through with me, besides like my pastors and my church folk talking about how this was just like, you know, fire and brimstone, you know. So
Yeah.
it
Well,
was
it's
just, I was
interesting.
very much like, my essence
It's
was being
interesting to
checked.
yeah, it's interesting to hear you choose the words, I have to conquer this
Hmm.
versus I have to just accept this thing about myself. And maybe through acceptance of like, yeah, I like porn. So what? I like this type of weird fucking freaky porn. So what? Right? Like
Yeah.
that's that shadow work shit
Oh yeah.
of like no one must ever know. Um but yeah, so you started using it sounds like when dad gave you the magazine at age 10.
Yeah.
And so tell me about how it evolved
um
through dial up. I don't how old are you now?
I'm 30. I'm
Okay,
30 now.
okay, I'm 33.
So yeah, so um yeah, I basically was doing that. And you're right. Like, if I knew what I know now, like I probably would have been less hard on myself and just say, okay, this is fine. But also like, knowing what I know now, I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore, because it was just way too compulsive, and it took up way too much of my time and too much of my energy. That's a big thing for me now too. Like, I call it my chi. Like, I try to protect my chi as much as I can, you know. So with that said, like, if just pornography for that reason alone, just using up my energy, I'm so happy I don't do that anymore, because that's just like a big, you know, thing for myself, you know, as a male, and protecting that energy that I need for creativity and for like my
Yes.
community around me. So just for that alone, yeah, I'm just happy I was able to conquer that for that reason. But that doesn't mean that like I'm not into, you know, so not necessarily into it, but like I'm not curious about some of those things, so to speak,
Yeah.
because it's very much like, listen, like the apple did not fall far from the tree. I seen my dad do some wild stuff, man, like threesomes, like wild stuff,
You saw it?
you
You
know.
like walked in on
Um,
them? Like what?
my father, like, I remember one time I was in Ecuador. I lived in Ecuador, right? And me and my siblings were there, and I remember my father came in with some chicks, and he told all of us to go to our rooms, and we all went to our rooms, and like my sisters, they were like, my siblings were like, hey, why don't you go like see, like, it was kind of like a bet, like, yo, go see what's going on over there.
Yeah, because
I
kids are
go over
so
there.
fucking curious. We're
So I
so
go over
curious.
there. I go to my pop's room, you know, sneak over there, and he had graphic stuff on the TV while they were doing their thing. and like I'm peeking under the door, and I'm like, wow, look at this dude, man, crazy.
What
And
did you think? What did you think in this moment? Did
I
you?
can't.
You're smiling right now, so I'm like, is there a part? Are there a part like you're like, no one's gonna believe this, or like this is what you need to be doing? Is that the talk that like this
That's
is what?
probably what I was thinking. I was probably like, man, shit, man, I'm so super jealous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Type situation.
Yeah,
Where I
yeah,
was just like, because I was so immersed in that thing where it was like, oh, damn, like that would be cool. And I just like, I probably walked back to the room with my head down, like, yeah, dad's doing, what he does, but that
yeah.
was the first time I actually like, because I heard stories. My mom like talked about a lot of like, infidelity and stuff like that. So I heard things. I never really seen him. He spoke about it openly, but I never seen it in action. That was the first time I actually seen my dad do some stuff like that, where I was like, oh, yo, this dude's really about this stuff. Okay.
Wow. God, that
you
that
know?
make- that like
So
I feel pain with that story. I feel like, damn it, Dad. Damn it. Like I, I it is what it is. Kids see and hear their parents have sex,
yeah,
but I just that makes me sad. That makes me
yeah,
sad to hear that you were subjected to that.
yeah. I'm still trying to understand like what exactly it did to my, you know, psychology being so immersed into that, because my father, there was graphic stuff in my house. Like you could pop a VHS in the in the machine, whatever, the VHS machine, and it'll be like accidentally popping the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? And those were the days where like pay-per-view, you'd be able to watch a trailer for 3 seconds and be happy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like it
Yeah.
was very much open. Not only was it open on TV, and we had like the pirate stuff as well. So we had the extra channels. So with that, and then my father had the material too. And it was just super easy to access. So like
God.
that, that's done some stuff to me. I wouldn't say necessarily negative stuff. But I'm still trying to understand like who I am in that realm. And that's kind of why like I was so excited to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you had mentioned what you mentioned to me in the nature of your work, I was like, wow, I don't know a lot of people that are in this territory and have this space to talk about these things, because I've never had this conversation. I probably This is probably either like one of the first time besides like with my wife, but this is rarely a conversation that is had.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was so happy to connect with you, because it's like, man, we need more of this type of
Yeah.
conversation for
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is any part of you remotely uncomfortable around talking about this? No,
Not
no,
at
like
all. Not at
tightness
all.
in your chest or fire in your gut? No.
No, I'm
Okay.
just curious. I really am curious about a lot of it. I'm kind of relieved, like finally, I have some sort of outlet to talk about this, because it's not like the suppression was like done, personally. Like I did it to myself because of my convictions. Like
Yeah.
nobody necessarily forced me to do anything, or like I wasn't in any unfortunate situation. So like I don't have those types of feelings. I actually like some of the feelings to me are like some of my fondest moments. Like I'm very much like somewhat I want to say like promiscuous, but like that was my MO for a long time. Like everybody knew me as that dude. Like, oh, go, yeah, this Mac dude. He's gonna go talk to this girl. You know what I mean? Like that was just who I was, and I enjoyed it. I
So
really
you were
did.
you were a
Real,
Mac dude with game, yet
yeah.
you were unavailable for sex
Mm-hmm.
and kissing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
that was a fun role for you to
It
play,
was
wasn't
it
it?
was thrill. It was thrilling. It
Uh,
really was. You know what I'm
Untouchable.
saying?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see how that
Yeah.
would really stroke your ego. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun thing, and that's how I met my wife. I mean, I met her on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just typical route. Okay, here we are. You could see, young Pablo, 18-year-old with a notebook or my phone or whatever. Like, okay, how many numbers we got today? Okay, there's a girl over there. Let's see what we could do. That was my whole.
Really?
That was my routine growing
Okay,
up.
so that's where I see a little bit of your father in you as you talk
Yeah,
about it, just
exactly.
that's where it sort of leaked out,
Yeah,
just like this
exactly.
trying to collect women, right? And um some of the myths about being a successful man are based on how much pussy you get, right? And how much money you make, right? And
Yeah.
those are huge things that I'm really trying to change minds of, but that's a different story. So back to your porn addiction. How, like, talk to me about like, so I watch porn.
Mhm.
I like porn. When I masturbate, I like there to be a story. There's some
Mhm.
people who sort of like go within or really like the sounds of nature. That's like a
Mhm.
part of their like sensual
Mm.
um pleasure. But like for me, I love like the role play. I love the narrative. I love crafting a story. I love visuals. And so like I use porn
Mhm.
um quite a bit when I masturbate. And sometimes I
Right.
wonder, is this healthy? And I'm like,
Mhm.
who fucking cares? Like, is it,
Yeah,
um I don't think it's a coping mechanism. I don't think it's an addiction. I
that's
think it's
key. Right.
I think it's really healthy. And when I ask myself like, is this a problem? I think I'm just playing, society's tapes of like,
Wow.
this is
Yeah.
bad. This is bad. You're bad. This is naughty. And I'm like, no, this isn't hurting anybody. This is actually like really bringing me a lot of joy and pleasure. And
Yeah.
fuck all y'all. But I know
Really.
that, but I want to hear your experience about like, how did you know that you had an addiction with it, and when, and how did you stop it?
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. You're right. I mean, like, if it weren't for the compulsive nature of it, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, I really wouldn't. Like, cool. I wouldn't mind like doing that. But because it was so compulsive, um, and part of it, I remember having a conversation with someone where they were talking about, like, maybe it was you, I can't remember, how like men, um, being a male, our emotions are suppressed a lot. So like some of that addiction could have come from like the lack of emotional support, and that release was somewhat like maybe some of the only uh emotion that I was able to release, and that's why I did it so frequently. And it became very addictive because it was that kind of intimate, you know, uh, intimate emotion or feeling that I was lacking in other departments. So that could be a really big story. But
Wow. I think
yeah,
you're onto something there.
so I can't remember who told me that, but I was like, that could be pretty accurate. I didn't get a
Yeah.
lot of emotional support in my household. My parents were, my mom had to grind. It was five
Mm.
of us. She had to grind, and my pops was busy grinding, the other type of grind.
Grind, grinding.
You got my reference there.
Yeah.
He was doing
Yin Yang twins. Who is that? Grinding.
that. That's clips, I think.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Might be, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so it became very compulsive, possibly because of that. And it took a lot of my time. It took a lot of my time. It ate away at a lot of my time, because it was like sometimes I, like, no lie, like, catch me probably even doing it in the bathroom at my job, like, for real. Like,
Yeah. No, I
was
get
that
that.
real? It was that compulsive. And I mean, listen, it's nothing different from being compulsive with social media. Like, it's the same
Right.
fucking thing. Like, you could
Well,
judge me. People could judge me like, oh, God damn, for real. Like, I know people that got one hand holding their meat while they're peeing and the other one scrolling through Instagram. Like, it's the same thing. You
oh
feel
my
me? It's the
God.
same type of dopamine
Yeah.
transmission.
Yeah. I think
So
about emotional eating is something that I have like gravitated towards, when I'm like feeling not enough or feeling lonely, I am just like, and I just go into the kitchen and I eat,
yeah,
like I'm just like, I just want to make this feeling go away. So yeah,
yeah,
porn. Was a coping mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah, it could very well be. That could have been one of the things. And the way that, like I said, the way that I was able to wean myself off of it was writing. Let me see if I could like find the actual title of
Yeah.
the piece. Like this was the first time and I remember writing it, and I was so nervous publishing this. Like I
Yeah.
went back and forth with myself, like, oh, I don't know.
Because
But
why?
it was kind of cryptic.
Because why were you scared?
Um, I was afraid of people's judgment, you know. I was just
Mhm.
really afraid of what people would think, because I thought that was a sign of weakness. I thought that was a sign of like, you know, um yeah, I guess like the kind of religious background like really played a big, role in how I viewed those things. And I was just still afraid, even though like at that time when I was, putting this together, I was probably like, I don't know if I was atheist or whatever at that time, but I was away from that mentality, but I was still very much um um you know captured by that mentality, you
Mhm.
know. What was it? It was a struggle. No, I got a poem. Whoa, no, be memoir. I can't. Oh, influence of addiction.
Yeah.
That's
Are
what
you
it's
gonna read
called.
it for us?
You want to go there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go.
God. Yeah.
Okay. 36. Why not? So yeah, this is yeah. I mean, this is case in point right here. This is how I was able to conquer. You know.
So
Um.
what I'm hearing you say is that you wrote a piece and then you performed it in public.
I didn't. I don't think I ever performed this one, but I wrote it and I published it. It's in
Okay.
this book,
Okay. So it's
Trinity Perception.
in written form. Okay. And this is your
Yeah.
book
Yeah. It's
available on
out.
your website. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And
And
on
I'll put.
Amazon and all of that. So
Okay.
it's called Influence of Addiction. Mentored by the product of replicated behavior. Behavior believed to be the stencil for male nature. Unaware of the neural connections associated with excessive desire, these acts of display were a misrepresentation of masculinity. How I wish this array of behavior left no imprint. I was left alone to sort out my sins of dominion by the man who created me and shaped my addiction.
Mm.
Perhaps he thought this was the transfer of male knowledge. Who knew one event could catalyze the demise of my self-trust? My brain was rewired to appease the chemical of C's, dopamine. And so I became the hostage of my own biology.
Mm.
Years of subjugation neutralized attempts of objection. A prisoner to graphic material, control was nothing but a fable. Fortunately, life is a timetable of opportunities, and the moment for redemption came in the shape of conscious reflection. In order to gain control, I had to create the immunity to reinforce my commitment. I write to my community. These articles are documents of security. And then I have a quote at the end. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken.
Ooh, read it one more time.
I don't know who it's by. I got unknown under here. So, whoever, credit to them.
Where are you at? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken.
Mm.
Yeah. So I was talking
Wow.
about my pops in that whole
Yeah.
poem.
Yeah.
That
I
was
felt it.
it
I
was
felt it
somewhat
come.
cryptic, but that's it.
Yeah. Wow. And you published that in the book, and that really started to unravel your behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. I never had anyone like ask me like, "Oh, what were you talking about?" or any real interest about it. But I knew what it was about, and I knew it was out there, so I kind of held myself accountable to that. And I remember I did relapse. Like I published this book, and I remember like I relapsed like maybe one or two times after that, and
Mm-hmm.
then I wrote another entry for my upcoming book,
Yeah.
and it's been like maybe I don't know, maybe 3-4 years, since I've, you know, at the very least, since I have, succumbed to the urge to ejaculate. You know what I'm saying? Like whether I seen it or not was one thing, but like the urge to like release my chi,
Mm-hmm.
that has been, you know, that has been somewhat conquered and understood more. And yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So I applaud you, because I know that porn addictions are very hard to break cycles. Well, just in any coping mechanism
Right.
situation. I find that, like I've got you in my content outline is episode 32, Pablo Erotica. So another name for you. Um I just, in our
That'd be my
discussion,
porn name, by the way. If I
yeah,
if I was
yeah,
a if I was an actor or something.
yeah, yeah. I think that our erotic energy is our confident energy. It's that, I think for me, when you say chi, I'm like, it's that. It's like,
I can see why you say that.
it's for me, it's like my erotic energy is like when I'm just like feeling so good, I'm feeling confident. I'm in this like, oh my God, the coffee smells so good. And I'm so excited that I get to make and eat this salad. And oh my God, the sun feels so good on my face. And also like, I want to have a sexual exchange with someone.
Hmm.
Um, and my erotic energy is heavily linked with my creative energy, and then like my playful space. And so I'm wondering, you know, without porn, how do you reserve creative energy? How do you cultivate it? I mean, I like what's your sex life like? I mean, are you,
Yeah.
talk to
Um.
me. Whatever
Yeah.
comes up.
So it's funny in terms of the chi. Like that's like so honing in that energy. You know, like I host this event, right? So this is like TMI. Well, not TMI now that we're on here, but I host
Yeah.
this event, right? And you know what? This is good. This is good. I host this event once a month called Renaissance Revolution. And I tell my wife that week leading up to the event, no, no
No sex.
no sex.
Yeah.
Because I need to hold that energy for my people. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
for real. That week leading up is hands off, we not doing nothing, boom, you
How,
know what I'm saying?
how does she feel about that?
She understands it.
Okay. She
She
like is like,
understands
yep,
it.
I love it. I
Yeah.
support it.
I mean, in the beginning she probably didn't like it or appreciate it, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? She knows that I'm in my element. And I guess she sees that and she respects that and I appreciate that. So in terms of like sex life, yeah, my wife and I are very much alike in the sense of very I guess you could say sensual. She has a stronger drive than me, that's for sure.
Mm.
But we're very much on the same page of like non-traditional. You know what I'm saying? And we're very much, she has a very similar background to myself as far as suppression. You know,
Yeah.
she came from a background of somewhat being suppressed in her sexuality. She wasn't able to, explore and these types of things. So she had that phase where when she was out of that, she went AWOL. You know what I
Love
mean?
it. Yeah. We
Um,
all we all do it. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we share a lot of the same sentiment in terms of like, very open about these things,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, yeah,
Experimentation is a high value.
yeah,
Yeah. Good.
for
Good. Yeah.
sure.
It's a high value for me. I'm always like, ooh, let's like, and so when I'm not met with that, when I'm met with resistance around experimentation, I'm like, wait, what? Yeah.
Right.
So like sexual compatibility, I've learned a lot about that in the past year and how
Yeah.
it's a very real thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's key, right? That's really key. And I know what that suppression is like, and I know what it's done to me, and I know I never want to replicate that. because that's no good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I some of the poetry that I've been able to write due to free expression is some of my favorite poetry. Like I would have never had mindfuck if I didn't really become one with that person, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Mm-hmm.
mindfuck and all these other, like I have several other like erotic poems where there's some of my favorite, and to I want to explore more so that I can add more dimensions to that, you know, because
Yeah.
I really do enjoy that angle of me, and there's a lot of people don't know this side of me, and I think,
Do you want them to know this side of you?
do I want them to know this is who I am? Like you gonna get the whole package, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like this is what it is, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Do I want them to know?
I
I
think you
gotta be
do.
me.
I think you do.
I gotta,
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta be authentic.
Yeah. Same.
I have to be
Or I'll
authentic
die. Yeah.
or I'll die. There it
I'll
is.
fucking die.
So, you know, this is it. You gotta accept the whole package. The book has erotic stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, talk a little bit. Before we hop off, I know we're a little bit over time, but I want to capture a few more things. Talk to me a little bit about the book. Journey, what is it?
Journey Through Perception is the first book.
Yeah.
That is just basically, um, you know, just kind of a, I guess you could say like a little biography of like that time capsule in my life, where I was going through moments of, you know, it's a massive transformation, and I'm like light years from the person I was in this book. Like this took like 10 years. It was like, not that I was doing it, thinking about it for 10 years, but this is like 10 years worth of writing. And I was able to like encapsulate some of like my favorite pieces, and it just talks about my journey through, you know, what I was seeing through love, spirituality, parenting,
Mm.
politics. I hit most of the topics, erotic, you know, stuff in there. So like me just provoking on many levels. And you know, mindfuck isn't in this book. Mindfuck is going to be in the upcoming book, which is going to be the sequel to this. So it's going to be Journey Through Perception, Diary of the Insignificant.
That's the next
And I
one.
have, yeah, that's the next one. I have way more erotic pieces in that one.
Okay.
So I'm
And
really excited for that. And I'm excited to share that, you know, with people, because I think, like I said in the beginning of the show, I have many ways that I relate with people. That's another way, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
People are very much, oh, you know, this is who we are. We, you know, we have Karma Sutra and all these fucking cave wall drawings and shit like that. Like, this is who we are, all these orgies and shit. Like, man, this is it. This is who we are.
We're sexual creatures. We are. The
I want to
end.
embody that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I want you to do that too. Um, I want to either play Mindfuck or have you read it.
Can we go for both?
What do you mean?
Like, can we play it and read it? Like, take a little bit of time if you have the time, or we
Yeah.
can just pick everyone.
Talk to me here. I've got it up. I'm going to play it and I hope it's going to play from my computer. And I think the audio will be good enough. But I was hoping that you could just tell me a little bit about sort of what comes up for you in it, you know?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. We're going to listen to it together.
Take two.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn
Why do I
can you
gotta
turn
be
it
so
down a little
fucking
bit?
controversial? I guess it's my job, right? I wanna fuck each and every one of your minds. A straight up mind fuck. Mindgasm. I wanna me too your mind with no consent. I'm trying to captivate your cerebellum. Squirt my thoughts in your pineal gland. Pick apart your medulla. I wanna court your mind, support every fine neuron, dance with your brainwaves. I am looking to hypnotize your cortex. Mind sex. My thoughts are complex positions of Karma Sutra. Don't ask me to stop now. Once I'm in, I've embedded the long stroke of thought. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is only a fucking metaphor. That's all it is, a metaphor. I'm trying to court your mind. I'm trying to fuck your mind, whether you're male, female. It's just a metaphor. That's what I've been trying to accomplish. I think I've accomplished that. I don't know. I mean, it feels like I did. Shit, it feels like I fucked my own mind. You see? It's in all aspects of the sense. You know what I'm saying? Diary of the Insignificant. Coming soon.
There it is.
God, it's so good. It's so good. The words that hit me are, I want to me too your mind with no consent. Those were just very striking and like very
provocative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I performed it at the open mic, that was the line where everybody just bursted out laughing. Like, yo, this dude is this dude is for real right now. Me too. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking go there. Fuck it.
Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. So what does this mean to you? Where does this come from for you?
I'm so excited. This is I'm so glad like I'm able to really dig into this one because this is one of my favorite pieces. Like I was so proud after I put this poem together, and this embodies who I am as an artist. If there was a way for me to explain how I want to connect and how I want to communicate as an artist, mindfuck is the reference point. If you want to know what I'm trying to do to you as an artist, is right there. I want to get on the stage. I want you to open my book, and I want to like long stroke your mind. Like seriously, like that's what it is right there. I want to provoke you. I want to captivate you. I want to relate with you. I want to have a very intimate session with you when people interact with my work. I want to pick apart their medulla. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the brain isms that you used. Yeah, the medical. Yeah, I feel that you're doing it. You're doing it.
Success.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
Yeah, congratulations. It's big. It's really powerful. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I'm so excited, that I was able to share that with you and that you connected with that and that, we could bring that to your audience and I could have more of an intimate relationship with my audience. Cause this is the side. This is one of the sides I'm most eager to show my audience this side. Cause some of the best work is going to come from like my erotic, because like you said, it like that erotic energy, it's my most confident side,
Right.
and it shows in this body of work because I was very confident in this piece. I was very much,
you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait to give the people some shock value and some provocateurness.
Yeah. And I think this was a one take. Like it was literally like, it was just like, it just came right out. And I was like, yep, this is beautiful. That's it.
So you're saying when the words came to you, they just came through you and you were like,
it was like one of the easiest pieces to write for me. It was like, oh yeah, that happened really nicely.
You heard about the book, Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic?
First time I'm hearing that.
She writes this fucking exquisite book called Big Magic. And in it, she confirms all the things that I've ever believed as a child, that ideas are just out here. And when we are in alignment and we are open to receiving them, they go, oop, and they just fall in and boom, they're born. And there's this quote that she has. She goes, the universe plants jewels deep inside of us and then stands back and sees if we can find them. And it's so, every word of this book, I was like, yes, I knew it. Yes, I've known it the whole time. Yes, this. And so I feel like that's similar to just your aura and your being. I'm just like, yeah, you get it. You get it. So it's a pleasure to know you. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. And real quick before you leave, I just want to say thanks so much for tuning in. If you really like what you heard today, please hit the subscribe or follow button. If you're interested in working with a sex and relationship coach and think we might be a good fit, head to my website and fill out the application for my one-on-one coaching program, ellenmellon.com/intimacy-coaching. You can also click on the direct link in the show description to get there faster. Spots are limited from quarter to quarter, so do me a favor and fill out your application sooner rather than later. You can also follow my work on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter with the handle @EllenMellonShow. That's EllenMellonShow. If you really liked something that you heard today, do me a favor. Screenshot the episode and tag me in it, letting me know what was most compelling. Lastly, don't forget to go to the Apple Podcasts app and drop a review. The more reviews the podcast receives, the more exposure it gets on the platform. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ellen Mellon, and this is To Hump a Pillow.